Friend, you want to come over here?
Hey, I'm going outside to talk to my PreTrial officer real quick.
Okay, no problem, brother. Yeah, what do you have to open?
I'm kind of having some shivers and some chills. You might want to be careful. I don't know.
Oh man, I'll stand back. I was standing in the shade though, cause this is a hot one.
Yeah.
I just wanted to swing by, say hi. I know there's like some stuff. I mean, is there anything like I can address right now? You know, any concerns or anything? You know?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, the prosecutor's saying that I don't have stable living here, right? She's arguing that in court. And I know nothing lasts forever, but I'm able to stay here. But the federal prosecution is saying this is not stable. And I'm qualified for being classified as housing insecure, experiencing housing insecurity. So I'm trying to do it through Santa Ana, and they're giving me the runaround. I'm doing that for 6-8 months. They assigned me to a guy named Raul who doesn't work there anymore.
Okay.
So it's just a game, runaround. So then I go to a different jurisdiction, and I apply there. Are you, when they call you and they ask you questions like, hey, is this guy on the run? Is he a fugitive? I mean, are you required to say, no, he's not, but, this is where he lives? Are you required to give them information?
No. So it depends who's calling, right? Like if it's a local PD calling, like saying, hey, do you supervise this guy? Then they already know that I do because we're tied in the system together.
Yeah.
But programs don't normally call. They won't call me and say, hey, is he being supervised? Does he really need help or not? They don't do that. And if they did, I wouldn't tell them.
Okay, because you understand, like, when I dealt with those 2 caseworkers, one of them, the guy is honest, but the woman is lying. She's saying I was demanding they give me a voucher. And that guy said, nope, you didn't demand that. You didn't want it. And she kept insisting. So she put in the police report that I demanded that voucher, and I didn't. She kept insisting I take that voucher, and Mikey wanted it, and so I was like, okay, we'll stay in a motel for a couple nights, and I'm going to file charges on her for a false police report. I'm going to file a lawsuit. I've already got that in the works because of what she did, and they did a child protective service child endangerment, and he says there was no child endangerment. You have a right to seek housing with you and your child, and that, so he's backing me. He's her partner. She did wrong, and I had no contact with law enforcement at all. And so when you came at me about that, I didn't understand where you were coming from. I had no idea what you were talking about. And, I've got a lot on my mind, and I've got a lot to deal with, and I've got family troubles and all this stuff. And so when I said, well, who said that? You said, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. First you said, I can't tell you. And then I said, well, why can't you? Well, I can't remember. And you said it's because you didn't have your notes handy. But I didn't know what you were talking about. And I wasn't being difficult. You said, oh, that's how you want to be. No, that's not how I want to be. I don't know what else to be. I don't know what you're talking about. You're levying some heavy accusations. You're basically saying that I'm committing a federal crime because I'm impeding a federal investigation, which I'm not. No, but that's what it is. When you as a federal officer say, you're not being upfront with me, and I am, and I'm giving you the best of my knowledge, I have had no contact with law enforcement, and you say I'm not being upfront with you, that's upsetting to me. That triggers me. Because I'm feeling like I'm experiencing the death of 1,000 cuts. Because all these little things, and these, oh, don't worry about it. But meanwhile, here I am when they're supposed to have this thing off in February, and here I am, it's still saying, oh, he needs to stay on the supervision. When I have evidence that Trabuco was saying, you don't qualify for that, we should have that off of you in February. The court was saying that in February, this should be off. Here we are, 10 months now, I still get it on, and the progress I'm seeing is it's progressing toward greater and greater restriction and supervision, and I'm not doing anything wrong. And I'm just trying to live my life, and I see a potential for danger here. Because you know what? If the men are patrolling the camp and they see smoke on the horizon, they're thinking, oh, there's an enemy army coming. It may be here 2-3 days, but they recognize the threat. Well, I'm recognizing that threat because that's how I was built. When I see the direction things are going in and they continue to go further toward further restriction and further bad-mouthing me to DC saying, oh, he's uncooperative, he's this, he's that, he's not meeting, whatever. I've done nothing wrong. The courts even said, being homeless, being housing, this and that, he's not in violation of anything, and yet the restrictions are coming down harder and tighter on me. At this rate, what am I supposed to expect the natural progression to be? And that's got me triggered. That's got me upset. That's got me worried. And it's causing me unstable mental stability. It's causing me problems. And I'm not lying to you. I'm on medication. I've been diagnosed with a disability. I have a PTSD. I have many different issues. And I'm declared disabled. And so when I'm saying this stuff, I'm not making this stuff out of thin air. Like, I have issues, man. And I don't know anybody who wouldn't under my circumstances, but I had issues before this. I've been stabbed by him as 13. I've got broken ribs that hurt me to this day, right? I've been attacked by brass knuckles guy, right? I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-asshole. Now, if a guy wants to have brass knuckles and he wants to attack a group of ladies, and I have an issue with me being prosecuted and him taken off the gang injunction list, it's because I'm pro-government. I want the law enforced. I'm not anti-government. He's anti-government. He's anti-government because he's got a felony weapon in his hand that he's using to feloniously attack women. That's a declaration of war on our government. Our government says you can't do that.
Speaking of that, I think there was a court hearing for that this week, maybe?
This Friday.
This Friday? Okay. Are you going, or is it just your attorney again?
No, I'm going.
Oh, okay. Because I think your attorney made the last appearance, right? On your behalf?
Well, is it any of your business? With all due respect, is it any of your business? Because my attorney's told me not to discuss that with you. He said to me to tell you that if you have any questions about that case, I'll tell you things, but if you are prying for questions, then you should ask him or ask DC or ask the courts yourself. You can call the guy. I mean, why are you asking me? What are you looking for? Is this a fishing expedition?
No, so this is why I'm asking, because DC will ask me from time to time, hey, what's going on with that state case? Is he making the court hearings and part of the...
Why is it their business?
Because they want to make sure that you're remaining law-abiding. So if you don't, right, part of the process is making sure that you're showing up to the hearings.
Is there any sayings? Is there anything? I mean...
But that's why I asked.
I don't have to talk about that. It's another case. You can research it. If it says there's a warrant out for his arrest, then do your due diligence. Why do you keep asking me about that? My lawyer specifically told me to tell you not to ask me about that.
Well, we're not talking specifically about the case. It's just like, hey, are you going to the court hearings? That's it.
What do you think?
Well, that's why I ask you, and if you
Well, why? What? I mean, what am I supposed to say? Like, it implies that I'm not when you ask me. I don't want to answer those questions. But those are stupid questions, in my opinion. Those are stupid questions. They're unnecessary. They're unnecessary, and they seem to be like they're prying. And you know what? It's really not in your purview. It's really not. You get a notification that I'm out of law compliance, then do something about it. But you know what? All this getting this rapport thing you got going, this is where we go off the rails because you're trying to act like you're my friend, but there's an old saying, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. And that's what I'm feeling like the fuck is happening right now, man. Because you wrote a negative report and did not do your due diligence. I had not had any contact with law enforcement. Had not had one contact with law enforcement. And you submitted a report to DC. You submitted a report to DC. So you did that based on what? The assumption that I had contact with law enforcement. You were wrong. 100% wrong. 100% wrong. And you submitted a negative report about me. And that's what I talk about, the death of 1,000 cuts. Because all these little moves, these little moves, they're stacking up. And people are telling me, oh, don't worry about it. No, I'm feeling like I'm being played. I'm feeling like I'm being gaslit. Like, oh, you're all imagining it. No, meanwhile, here I am 10 months later with the ankle monitor. Here I am 10 months later when they're playing with my head telling me, oh, we want to take it off last February. But they're not taking it off. Why? This sounds like a psyop to me. It sounds like they're messing with me because you know what? I've been in compliance and I've done nothing wrong. So what's going on? What is a reasonable man supposed to think when things aren't comporting with reality? Something is wrong here. Something anti-government. Because when you submit a false report to the government, you're anti-government. The government is an institution of laws and truth and facts. And governance its governance is based on reality.
Yeah.
If a false statement is submitted to the government, you're anti-government, whether on accident or on purpose. That's what's going on. I'm not doing anything wrong. And you're asking me if I'm doing something wrong. Are you going to court? You know, according to, with all due respect, none of your business. According to my attorney, none of your business. Find out yourself. I don't have to answer these questions.
All right.
Really, honestly.
No, I know. I get what you're saying.
He's told me to instruct you not to ask. That's not your business. You have the ability to go look it up yourself. Why do I got to answer these questions for you? It implies I'm doing something wrong. If you're looking for something, go look somewhere else. Go find your cartel members or something like that. Because I'm not doing anything wrong. And I don't know why all of this high maintenance, high intensity, like really, honestly, after all I'm going through, really? You're doing this to me? Why? Based on what those last two people did that were charged, Cook and Trabuco, like it was disgusting. She said, oh, I was clenching my fists and heaving my chest and coming at her and breathing heavy. You know, I'm mad now. I wasn't mad then. I was like, please, don't make a noise. The guy's sleeping. She's standing outside the guy's door saying, who lives here? Who stays here? I want to know who's in that room. I said, he's sleeping. Please. She's trying to get me kicked out of this house. She's trying to make me unwelcome here because no one wants to deal with that. Nobody that's given me a chance to stay wants to deal with some obtrusive asshole coming into their house, making a scene and yelling and waking up a 24-year-old ex-Marine who works night shifts and is trying to sleep in. What's she trying to do? She's trying to sabotage my housing. And when I say, please, let's go talk in the kitchen, I walk away from her. She says, what, Mr. Sergente? That's why she's no longer on the case, because they submitted such a scathing report full of bald-faced lies that when they were informed that there's evidence contrary to that, they retracted their negative report full of lies, and then shortly after, they were off the case. Now, what am I supposed to take from that? You want me to trust you? When I try, you don't even want to touch upon that. When you first met me, you're like, I know you had problems with them, but let's move on and no big deal. No, man, it is a big deal. When a federal officer is doing stuff like that, that's anti-government activity. That's a sign of corruption. That's a sign of crime under color of authority. And you want me to just dismiss that? What does that say about you? Because the Bible says out of the abundance of one's heart, the mouth speaks. If you think that's no big deal, then what am I supposed to think about you? Are you on the same page as them? Really? What am I supposed to think about you if you don't think that's a big deal? Because that's a crime. You want to find a crime? Go investigate your coworkers. Go investigate Officer Cook. Go investigate Trabuco. You want to find a crime? Go investigate the dude that attacked me and a group of women with brass knuckles. You're looking for a crime. You're looking for an act of domestic terrorism. You're looking for an insurrection. Go investigate all those federal buildings that were under siege for over a year, for months, with Molotov cocktails and attacks. Those anti-government Marxists were involved in an insurrection. Go investigate that. Why don't you? If you want to look for an insurrection, you want to go look for anti-government activities, go look there. Because this right here, this doesn't make sense. And then you're asking me, oh, are you not going to court? Figure it out yourself, man. Have you seen me do anything wrong?
So this is why I stop by from time to time, so that
Yeah.
we can talk, like, what can I do? And it's not about forgetting, it's about looking forward, right? It's never really about what's been said or done in the past. Like, I always try to have the optimistic view of, like, glass is half full, not half empty type of deal.
Yeah,
So
well, you
what
didn't
can-
give me that day. You said I'm being not forthcoming with you. And I kept saying, I don't know what you're talking about. You were not being forthcoming with me. I said, what law enforcement agency are you talking about? I can't tell you. I don't remember. I don't remember.
We talked about that. I
So
couldn't
you weren't being
remember.
forthcoming. And you were projecting on me that I'm not being forthcoming. I had no idea what you're talking about. You're calling me up, and then I find out that it turned out I got the police report.
Housing agency.
No, not the housing agency. They filed a complaint of child abuse.
Oh, that's how they got involved.
They got
Well,
a.
see, that's what I was trying to
But the one caseworker says, you did nothing wrong. And I was telling you, your partner filed a complaint. He's like, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. And so he's going to be involved in this lawsuit because he knows I didn't do anything wrong. And he was shocked to hear that his partner had not only filed a complaint of child abuse, but she filed a false police report. She made false statements in a police report. So that's why I'm going to pursue this, because you know what? You don't take this stuff lying down. These people are anti-government. If they're misusing the powers of the government for their own manipulative means, that's anti-government activity. That's un-American.
So that's what I was trying to figure out, though. I mean, now we're looking back, right? Hindsight, but you have stable housing here, right? Staying with them, but from their reports, which
Whose reports?
I haven't gotten a copy. I was about to say that I haven't gotten a copy, but the phone call that I got, right, was saying that you were staying at the beach in a van with your son and you were homeless, right? So that's what I was trying to figure out. Well, no, he's got a place to stay. Why am I getting a phone call saying he's staying at a or no, he's in a homeless, whatever. He's living in a van with his son, and now he's got they put him in a hotel for
Never
2
said
days.
living in a van. They pushed that on me, and they're liars.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why did you stay at the hotel then if you have this place? Like, did they not want your son here, or?
None of that. And you know what? It's really none of your business.
But see, that's where those disconnects come in, because then DC asks me, well, what's up with the housing, and then
Am I not allowed to stay in a hotel?
But that's
I'm
the thing.
still in Orange County.
So let me tell you.
I let you guys know I was in a hotel.
Right, and that's why I called you. I'm like, hey, is everything all right? Did you get kicked out? Like,
And I didn't say everything wasn't all right. And I am not kicked out, and I never said I was.
But that's what I was trying to figure out.
Do you
right?
want me to have the lady of the house email you that I'm welcome here anytime I want?
It
Would that help you?
won't hurt, yeah.
You want that?
Yeah, I'll take
Okay,
that.
I'll
And
give
then
her-
I can give it to DC
I'll
too,
give her your
yes.
email and tell her to let you know,
But see, that's where the disconnect came in, because at that
No,
same
the
time,
disconnect was you didn't know what you were talking about when you were talking to me, making accusations, and I didn't know what you were talking
it
about.
wasn't an accusation. I was trying to find out. There's
You
a
said I was
difference
not being
between that.
upfront with you, and I
I
was.
said I have always been upfront with you.
And you
That's what
said
I
you're not being upfront with me.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And you said I'd like to think you would be, but I see you got these anti-government views, and I'm like, whoa, wait,
I
what?
never said anti-government.
You never said I had anti-government views.
No.
No? And I said, what do you mean anti-government? And then you went on to about how, you talked to me about your case. And I was like, yeah, I talked about getting attacked with brass knuckles, and I'm upset I'm being prosecuted. I don't see how that translates to being anti-government.
No, the whole thing was.
So you never accused me of being anti-government?
No.
Okay, so if that's your position now, then we'll leave it at that. But you know what? I'm going to start throwing around that term anti-government because, I'm pretty sure I heard that term anti-government.
No. It was more like, hey, I think the way
Anti-government.
that conversation came about.
Well,
was
I'm
like,
not
hey,
surprised you won't want to own that, but you said that to me. I mean, between you, me, and God, you said that. Maybe you don't remember saying that, but I remember you saying that because that's a buzzword.
Maybe that's the way it came about, or it
You
sounded
used the
like,
exact phrase anti-government views.
Okay.
and-
I don't think I did, but
You did. And I said, wait. And I said, let's stop. What are you talking about? And I really emphasized that because that's a red flag.
wow.
That's a red flag when you say something like that.
Yeah.
If you don't want to cop to that now, that's fine. Then we'll let that rest. You're never going to say I'm anti-government. You never thought I was anti-government. I'm not anti-government. I'm pro-government. Antifa's anti-government. No Trump, no wall, no USA at all. They're anti-government, right? BLM is anti-government, attacking the federal building in Portland. That's anti-government activity. I'm going to start using it. You claim you disavow using that word. I'm not. That's going to be my new word, anti-government activity, because I'm seeing a lot of it, especially when fake reports are being submitted by people to the government. Like, what's her name? The caseworker sending a report to Child Protective Services or whatever. And they're sending these reports. They're misusing the government. They're anti-government because they're not helping the government by lying to them. They're submitting a false report to hurt me, And honestly, I have stable housing. When I read my email to that lady, she was shocked. She's like, what are they doing? They don't want you here. After what the last two officers did, Cook and Trabuco, they're disgusted. They're disgusted. They think that you guys have demon energy because there's a lying spirit going on and they don't want you around. But if you have to come in, come in.
Yeah.
You have to come in, you can come in, but I'm just letting you know you're not welcome here. But you're allowed because you have authority. But I'm just letting you know they're not happy with you. They're not happy with your predecessors especially. And they're not happy with what I'm having to deal with. Okay? And I've never like said I was to say any place to you that I wasn't staying. I'm going to NorCal, coming back to SoCal. A few weeks ago I said I'm going to stay in this motel for 2 days.
Yeah, no, you're always good about letting
I always
me
let you know. I'm always good. Okay. So there's no problem.
No, it was just like that one day. Again, there was a disconnect between me trying to get some answers.
But
and
you
then
didn't
me
have
getting a
you didn't
phone
have any
call.
answers for me. I didn't know what you were talking about.
But that's the whole point. Like, that's what I got to do. I got to investigate, right? Make sure that everything's all right. Is everything all right?
But I
Yes,
had no
okay.
contact with law
And
enforcement
that's where
whatsoever.
the disconnect was. You didn't know that they
I didn't
had
know.
reached out to the police.
I didn't have the
report.
slightest idea that they'd reached out, and I had not had any contact to any law enforcement.
And again, that's why I wanted to make sure that you were still stable with housing, and at the time we were still trying to figure it out, right? And then
So
DC
now it took
calls
you
me.
3 weeks. Like I've been stable the whole time.
Right. I mean, I tried to see you last week, but you weren't home. So I mean, I'm trying to verify that.
Well, I
you're
was in
here,
Costa
so-
Mesa. I spent a lot of time out in Newport and Costa Mesa area.
Which is fine. Like, that's why I came by today,
Yeah.
you know? So I'll tell DC today, you know, or later I'll tell him, like, hey, I went by his house. He's still there. The lady's going to shoot me an email saying... he's
Are you
welcome
going
here,
to tell
whatever.
DC that perhaps there was a miscommunication, misunderstanding?
I already did. I actually told them the day of... I think you guys had a hearing or something.
No, on Friday something was submitted. On Friday something was submitted, and it was a negative report by you. It was basically, you sent out your report on Friday after having your 40-minute conversation with my attorney. I walked into his office after he was getting off the phone with you. He said he thinks when you were hiding from him that you had police contact. I said, that's just it. I had no police contact whatsoever, and I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm starting to barely piece together I'm figuring it out this morning because I got a call from the said police officer from Newport Beach PD, and I asked her point blank, did you contact my federal pretrial officer? And she hesitated for a moment and said, yes, I did. And says, now, here we are like, 24 hours later, and I'm starting to figure it out, especially now sitting down with you. As I'm sitting down with my agent, and he's telling me my attorney, and he's telling me what you think. You think that I'm hiding from you that I had police contact, and you still were operating under that misconception when you concluded your 3:30 conversation with Bo Griffith, my attorney, and then you fired off your report to DC, unaware that I had never had contact with any law enforcement when you had contacted me in regard to contact with law enforcement. And so a report based on false information was submitted that made me look bad, and my request was denied. And here's the thing. I used to be able to travel outside of districts with a week's notice. Now it's a week's seek permission. And I said to my attorney back then, I said, what's up with this? I used to have something, and they said I've done nothing wrong, and yet I'm getting more restriction. I'm losing ground. She said, don't worry about it. If they're going to grant it because, they've been in so much trouble with what they're doing with you. They're going to grant it. If they don't, the court said bring it right back for the court, and they'll deal with it.
Yeah.
And then what happens? I still get, so no, I got lied to. I lost something based on something that I did nothing wrong. I lost. I'm losing. So you know what that's going to put me in? A hypervigilant, agitated, even protective state. It's going to trigger my PTSD because I don't like being lied about. I don't like being penalized for something I did do wrong. And so I'm letting you know that I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be careful, and I'm going to be wary, and I'm going to be distrusting. Because whether on accident or purpose, people are failing me. And I don't like that. I don't like to be failed when such high stakes are at play. And there's a lot of high stakes right now. And right now I'm going over the audio recording of the woman that got attacked with the brass knuckles. And that's getting me in a bad state, right? And they've done an adjustment to my medication, and that's making me in a bad state. So I'm just giving you a warning that I am difficulty experiencing person right now. I'm experiencing a lot, and it shouldn't be that way. And you shouldn't even be relevant to this federal case. All you should be doing is seeing if I'm not breaking any laws and checking in with me. But it feels like you and your predecessors were trying to insinuate yourself into the case to throw shade on me because I don't think I've done anything wrong, and I don't think the federal case is something for me to be worried about. Things could always change, but when you start throwing shade on me like that, it makes things worse. And I don't know why. I mean, why aren't you guys staying in your lane? You're supposed to make sure that I'm not, being offensive or offending and committing crimes, and that I'm within reason, where I'm at, what I'm doing, where I'm living, that kind of stuff. But it feels like you guys are trying to go that extra mile and affect the outcome of my case. Because when you start painting this picture of me, it's not a good narrative. It's an ugly narrative. And it makes me think you guys have ulterior motives. So when you start asking me these questions, these loaded questions, which I just asked you in email, not to ask me about anymore. According to Bo, talk to Bo about it. According to him, he told me, anything you need to know about that case, you can go check yourself. That's what he told me. He said, you're right to evoke your right to remain silent. That's what my attorney told me. So I don't know. Should I take that up with my attorney or should I take it up with you?
No. You made it clear, so I'll look it up. It just, honestly, it makes it easier, and it'll answer the question a lot quicker if I just ask you, hey, did you have a court hearing, or do you have a court hearing? Come on, yes, I do. Okay, and that's it, you know?
Yeah, but it doesn't make it easier as far as asserting my rights and protecting me and my privacy. Because you know what? When we cross that line, you become more and more comfortable. And then, like, you know what? I'm not anti-government, but, like, mistakes happen. And under this hyper extended supervision, I'm not seeing myself being safer. I'm seeing myself being more at risk. Because if you look for something, you might find it or you might imagine it. You know?
Yeah.
But that doesn't make me feel safe. That doesn't make me feel safe. When I go to some non-governmental organization and I start talking to them and one of them decides to lie and one of them decides to tell the truth, that's the beauty of the fact that, like, one of them's telling the truth, because one of them telling the truth, his story matches mine. The one lying, her story doesn't comport with reality. I'm going to personally sue her. I am. I've already been on the phone with an attorney. I'm going to personally sue her because she caused me harm and mental anguish and drama. And you know I'm going through drama. You know my wife called the police on me Saturday, and she called the police on me Tuesday. After I got off the phone with you guys, you and Mahasti, within half an hour, the police were at the house. So, yeah. If you want to listen to my wife, you can do whatever you want with her. You're a free man, but not on my account. She's not my friend. She's against me. She's my ex. So, don't think like my friend or my loyal wife is like being honest with you. She's betraying her vows because she's crazy. All right? She's doing me wrong. I've let you know that. I let you know that during the therapy session. She's got issues. We're estranged. I've got kids with her. I love my kids. I keep her at arm's length. We're estranged. All right? You need to know that, since it seems like you've been reaching out to her. But you just keep in mind, take it with a grain of salt, because she's not my friend. She's my enemy. Okay? So, I mean, you want to act like that's like a valid and credible source. You're operating unprofessionally if you do. Because she's not a credible source. She's got an axe to grind. We're estranged. Let me make that clear again. My wife and I are estranged. We're separated. She's my enemy. We don't get along. All right? So.
She's letting you stay at her house, right, when you go see the kids?
I have a room there.
Okay. You guys have an agreement then?
I don't know if that agreement still stands, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me know about that. And I think I told you that the reason why I had reached out again, it was that period of unknowing, right? Trying to find out what the heck was going on that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got police calling me, say, hey, he's homeless with his son. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought the son was, up north. Well, then that's when, I called your wife. And then I think she told you, too, that, hey, he called, asking if everything was all right. And she told me, yes, everything's okay, so.
Well, she filed a missing persons report on my son, though the police report says, she said I could have my son from the 31st to the 6th.
Yeah.
And then she files a missing person report. How rational is that? Doesn't even make sense.
Doesn't sound right.
And then the police, when they came on Tuesday, they were like hanging their heads in shame because they know it's bullshit.
Yeah, they're probably obligated to take the report and all that stuff,
Yeah, well, she's gonna mess herself up because that city doesn't want wasting of the city's resources on her like nut job, problems. So, Leah's being Leah. I'm just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. That's life. But you know what? Like I said, we're estranged. I appreciate you not contacting her because she's just gonna hurt me. But you can do whatever you want. But remember this, We're not friends. We're not together. She's my enemy. We're estranged. We're separated. So whatever she does to throw me under the bus or try and lie on me or whatever or make me look bad, you've been warned. If you want to operate with integrity, at face value, understand that we are not together, she and I.
Okay.
Just because we share kids and we try and keep it sometimes amicable, we're not together.
Okay.
She's not out to help me.
I appreciate you letting me know that.
Okay.
So what can we do here to move forward? I mean, I'm not expecting to, you know, I don't even know how to put it.
Well, frankly, I don't like living in California. And you know what? I may move out of the state one day. And I'd like to move out of this state.
Okay.
And so if I move out of the state, I'm not precluded from moving out of the state. I mean, I still got the case in Santa Ana, but you know what? At some point, if I move out of this state, am I barred from moving out of this state?
I'd have to double check the conditions, of, you know, because DC's conditions are different from ours. But I mean, they've been. I know you said they did get more restrictive, right, with the GPS stuff. Right now, you have to ask, and you have to be granted permission on weekend events. But honestly, they've been, from my point of view, right, they've been pretty liberal with still letting you go places and all that.
Until Trabuco made a complaint based on lies.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there.
No, he got
you know,
pissed
but-
because I was emailing him about how he took lies and presented them to the court, and he got upset. But that just blew up in his face because he took the word of a 68-year-old, 40 plus years incarcerated individual with multiple felony convictions who said I was kicked out because of an attitude problem.
Oh, that was when you were at the house.
At the sober house.
Sober
But I
house,
wasn't
yeah.
kicked out for an attitude problem. I was kicked out because he's a criminal and he didn't want the FBI seeing what he was doing. What he was doing, I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I can speculate, you know, insurance fraud, drug dealing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know he was afraid of the FBI. And he said, because you've been arrested by the FBI, I don't want them snooping around. I don't want them seeing what's our operation going on. And he kicked me out.
Well,
And then Trabuco takes his word and brings it to the court. And his word was shit. And he brings it to the court.
you know my position. Like I told you, I'm more of a let's look forward type of guy. I understand, you know, you take notes and you're like, hey, this is what's happened to me in the past, so then this is the way I will, you know, take precautions in the future, you know. But hey, if you want to move out of the state, then, you know, just keep me informed, you know, what the plans are, and we can look into the conditions.
Well, if I moved to a different district, I'm sure they'll assign me a different agent
Yes, because
or officer.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be reporting down here, you know.
And as long as I'm not trying to move to DC, I don't see what the problem is. If anywhere I move has a federal building, I can go do Zoom. I've seen people that are doing Zoom not even at the federal buildings. People doing Zoom from their house for their federal hearings in DC.
Yeah.
So, you know, California's not working for me. Maybe I'm going to move out of California.
Okay.
Unless, like, you know, the government wants to wait and say, no, you can't leave California.
Okay.
You know, we're building a wall. You got to stay in it. I don't know. But for right now, I'm operating on the assumption, and I'd like to go check out Idaho.
Okay.
Is that an issue?
The only issue was if isn't that where you were gonna go with the road trip, or is that Iowa?
Idaho.
Okay, Idaho. Well, the only issue with the trips was the multiple stops, right?
Well, I
think
wasn't
they
going
were
to do multiple stops. I was going to drive straight, and then my public defender said, well, like, give me where you're stopping at. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, what, I'm going to stop for gas here. But no, like, I was planning to drive straight to Idaho.
Okay.
So is me driving straight to Idaho a problem?
Well, now I'm gonna have to run it by DC, because honestly, before we got DC involved with this last time, right, 2 weeks ago, we weren't gonna really have a problem with it. But they're the ones that
Now they got a
say,
problem based on a false report.
well, but see, that's your view, right? I can give you my view.
Your
If you
view is I
listen.
had police interaction when you called me? Is that your
Yes,
view?
Yes.
Your view is I had police interaction when you called me on
Well,
Thursday.
I thought you did, right?
Okay, so you thought I did, but now in hindsight, do you understand that's not true?
Well, one, I'm still waiting for the police report, but from what you're telling me, that's what it sounds like, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
See, and I just have to, again, I'm not accusing you of anything, you know? I'm not accusing. I know
Well, I
you-
had absolutely no police contact.
Right.
I had absolutely no police contact. When you called me, I had absolutely no police contact.
But again, there was that disconnect there.
Okay, well then we got to get to the bottom of this. I'm gonna have my attorney. Because you are in doubt about that topic. Because you be honest.
That's what I'm here today.
Yeah,
for.
but you're not going to believe me. You're waiting for a report, and I've got the report, and it's vague, and it doesn't specify. And if I asked that cop 4 times, and she hasn't specified. So since you're in doubt about that topic, that's going to be one of the things I'm going to ask Bo to do is subpoena that officer to come in and make a statement or a deposition, because she's being like tight-lipped and she won't like answer the question despite many emails. She's not saying, when I say you, like, I never had contact with you on Wednesday or Thursday, when my PreTrial release officer called. Will you acknowledge that's true? Mr. Sergeant, I don't know what you're talking about, or something. I don't know. What are you asking me? She's playing dumb. I've asked her and rephrased it in several ways, several times, and she's avoiding the question. I don't know why. She's not saying that's not true. She's not saying yes, that's true. She's just not answering. And I don't know why. Maybe she thinks she has to cover her own rear. Maybe she thinks she has to cover for you, because you went on a limb and believed that I was in contact with police when you confronted me about it, which I wasn't. But you know what?
But see, I'm also,
if that's a hill I got to die on, I'm going to fight.
But I'm also trying to get us past that point.
No, we can't get past that because you're still operating on an assumption that's false.
No,
and
you
you've
told me you
submitted.
didn't have police contact.
What?
You told me you didn't have police
But
contact.
you don't have to believe me. Don't pee on my leg, man, and tell me it's raining. Oh, because I told you I didn't have police contact, that means it's a given. You don't know that. You're not acknowledging it.
Well, right, and that's why I'm still waiting for.
So then we're going to keep on pursuing that issue because you're not acknowledging it to be a fact. And I'm going to beat that like a dead horse until we establish exactly what's what. Because right now, my credibility is in question. Because you say, well, you told me that. But you know and I know just as well that you aren't supposed to believe me. So let's get to the facts. And I'm going to pursue this because the facts are not coming out. And as long as they are, we're in this nebulous area where you can pretend like I'm lying to you. And you then justify your negative report about me. No, I want it to be concrete.
So you have a copy of that police report that I haven't been provided yet.
I just got it yesterday.
Do you want to just forward it to me instead of me waiting for them to send it?
No,
That'll clear it up.
no, I don't.
But see, then we end up in that space.
I've got too much going on, man. I
I'm
mean,
not saying rush it,
no, I've got a lot of other things to do right now, and I don't want to forward it to you. You can get it. Maybe you can get it. Maybe you should be able to get it. I don't know why you can't get it. Maybe they're scared because they messed up. They did wrong. And so what? But yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. You say, I'm telling you I didn't do anything wrong, but you do not, you know as well as I do, you don't have to believe me. So figure it out. Why don't you just email, I'll tell you what, I'll email you Officer Carter's email, and you can ask her directly. Did Mr. Sergente, and do me a favor, CC me. You know what? I'll CC you. I'll email her and I'll CC you.
No.
And I'll say, would you please state for Federal Officer Alquin here that you and I had no contact? And we'll see what she says.
Okay.
If she doesn't answer, she's like impeding in a federal investigation. Go arrest her for being anti-government. All right? She should answer. That's a professional thing to do.
Yeah.
There we go. Sound good?
What else can we do to move forward here?
To move forward, no. There's no moving forward when things are half-assed in the past. All right? Because when you're building with bricks, if you mess up at the beginning, everything's going to be off kilter. Right? When you're stacking those bricks, if you don't get them stacked from the foundational beginning, your final outcome is going to be off kilter. And that's what's happening. That's what I'm saying. This is the death of 1,000 cuts. All these little piss-ass things that are happening, and then I'm being told, it's no big deal, and blah, blah, blah. No. It's laying the foundation for a false narrative.
Okay, so you want to get to the bottom of this.
Let's resolve that.
Before anything.
Let's resolve that.
Okay.
Let's resolve that. And I'll fight it tooth and nail if she lies to you. Because I don't see why she would, but, I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
It seems like it's turning into a bigger issue than it really needed to be.
well,
you know?
because you made a federal investigation based on it. It is a bigger issue. And don't downplay it, because I'm not. I take it seriously. I take the truth very seriously. And when you dismiss and poo-poo me being concerned about this, it feels like you're gaslighting me, because it's causing me problems. It's causing me pain. and problems and mental anguish. And when you talk out of both sides of your mouth like, oh, it's no big deal, but I still don't believe you. I have no reason to believe you. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but it's no big deal. But I did send a federal investigation report to DC about it. But it's no big deal. Like, can you move past this? But you were denied your trip because of it. But it's no big deal. Do you see how it come across as like contradicting?
I do, but at the same time, like, you hold the keys as well. And you
No, I don't hold any
over it.
keys. The more I sent her 4 emails asking her to be specific, and she's lying by saying, I don't understand what you're asking me. That's a lie.
And the report doesn't say that you didn't have police contact? If it did, I mean, that's it.